It is a beautiful Monday night here in Southern California. What's going on, guys? Welcome to your WWE Raw review for August 19th, 2024. Hopefully, you guys are having a great night. What did you think of tonight's show? I want to know. Let me know in the chat. Grade this thing, A, B, C, or D, 1 through 10. I got to say, tonight's show was solid, I think. I mean, I'm happy that I feel confident that we're going to get a solid Raw like nearly every week. And I was feeling like after SummerSlam, we could experience a little bit of a drop-off in enthusiasm for some of these weekly TVs in between now and Bash at Berlin, but that couldn't be further from the truth. WWE has managed to still make things interesting. I'm not saying tonight was the greatest Raw of all time or anything like that, but we had a couple of bangers. Randy Orton and Ludwig Kaiser was way more fun than it should have been, and so was Sheamus and Pete Dunne, who had a great one earlier in the night as well. Combine that with some of the segments tonight and some of the Bash at Berlin setup. Some news regarding the Intercontinental Championship, the strap match now being official, as we kind of had a feeling that was going to be the case after what we saw last week. And tonight's show I thought was solid. I'm not sure if I'm going to give it an A, but I didn't watch the show feeling like it was a chore in any way. For the most part, I stayed somewhat interested throughout the 3 hours, and that's good. That's a good feeling to have when you're watching TV every single week or watching wrestling every single week. And we are just, coming off there. We had a good decade or so plus of a lot of just weak-ass, lazy, emotionless, passionless entertainment for the longest time. And just the fact that things are cooking again just feels kind of good. And I'm liking this Bash at Berlin card. I thought this was, this being like an in-between show. I knew it would be good because we're going across the pond. And the shows that they've been doing internationally lately have been very, very fun. So I wasn't expecting the Bash to be, a throwaway pay-per-view by any means, but I think I'm a little bit impressed with how nicely the card is actually shaping up, and I think this is going to be a pretty raucous crowd in Berlin in a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to it. But before we get there, we got All In coming up this week in London from AEW, so wrestling is all over the globe right now, and it's going to be a busy week here on the channel this week with the pay-per-view week and whatnot. So we're here tonight to talk about Monday Night Raw. I'm going to get into a little bit of wrestling news as well because we have some news on Saraya, and there might be some AEW stuff we might want to get in here tonight. But for the most part, we're going to talk WWE Raw. We're going to talk about Bash at Berlin and how that card is now shaping up and what it could look like when it's complete, if we're going to see more matches than we think, or if they're now starting to build issues and stuff for Bad Blood, which will be coming up in October. And then I think we have a crown jewel in Saudi Arabia ahead of Survivor Series in Vancouver. So it's going to be a busy fall here for us now that we're winding down the summer. But tonight's Raw, pretty decent. I see some B pluses I see a B and a B plus in the chat already. Good to see everyone here. I'll say hello to you guys here in just a second while I get my ducks in a row. Make sure we can be seen, heard, looking good. All right, you guys know the drill. See that thumbs up button down there? I've never needed likes more than I need likes right now. So please, if you could smash that for me, helps the algorithm, helps the channel, helps us out here. So please do that. Most of you who are watching right now are already subscribed, but just in case you're not, you know how to do that too. One click of a button away, and you will be permanently with us. And like I said, tonight's Raw was really good. Looking forward to talking about this one and breaking it down here in just a minute. But before we do, let me just say hello to our friends who are here hanging out in the chat. I'll move my screen so I can see it. Let me hit some of these channel members first, like Isaac, Nick Musser. We got Zane G and Big J. We got Mike Witt chiming in with $5 and the Juliet. Mike Witt, you got 5 for us. Hi, Greg and chat. I'm thinking Rhea and Priest are getting a beat down again, and Jay and Sammy make the save. Tag titles on the line in Berlin, maybe. I don't know about. I feel like what we saw tonight. Well, first of all, with Rhea and Priest, they're going to be in a mixed tag. That mixed tag is set for Bash at Berlin. It's Dom and Liv versus Priest and Ripley. I don't know if Jay and Sammy becoming a team again and targeting and going after the tag team titles sounds great. I just don't know if there's time to put that match together for Bash at Berlin. I mean, Sammy was off TV this week. I'm sure he will be back next week, but They teased tonight on Raw that Sami and Jay could be reuniting to be a tag team, but at the same time, Jey Uso mentioned tonight that he's going to be in the Intercontinental title #1 contenders tournament. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do both. So I think Jay and Sami teaming back up to target the tag team titles is absolutely a great idea. Just not sure if they're going to be doing it at Bash at Berlin. I think it's going to come after that. Also good to see Zach Palgett and Ken Webb up in here, along with the Juliet as our channel members. We also have Rodrigo. We got Mathis Kafer. What's up, Greg? Watching from Brazil. Well, thank you for watching from so far away. Greetings from Brazil. Hopefully everything is going well in your neck of the globe down there. Mathis, thanks for joining us. Also good to see Ben Espinoza and Ricky Zalvadar. Keeping it redneck. It was awesome. I like that name. Keeping it redneck. Hell yeah. One of the best names in the chat I've ever seen. Sex Machine is here as well. So is JR Falls. Kyle Day is in the house. Ricky, did I get you? I'm not sure. Everybody who's here tonight, glad you're here. Thank you for watching. Denny Downbad and anybody else chiming in. Probably not going to be a huge audience tonight. Not going to be a long podcast either. We're just going to basically review Raw, talk about a couple of other things. And if there's anything you guys want me to touch on in the chat, wrestling news-wise, let me know. Since Saturday, since the podcast, I'm not sure any major news going on that we need to mention or touch on, except for the news that broke today about Saraya. So Fightful Select had a report on their site today regarding Saraya's AEW contract, and that it appears that it is going to be up soon. That's what the feeling is, or that's what the reports are saying. Here is what Fightful Select had to say about Saraya's deal today. We've learned that Saraya's deal with AEW extends until at least September, where there were option years, but instead something else is likely on the table. The nature of the option years has been up for debate internally, as sources claimed each side held them. However, we can confirm that the two sides have at least been in talks regarding extending the current deal for a year, whether it be with a new contract or the option being exercised. Saraya became AEW World Champion last year at All In, but lost the title to Hikaru Shida a few weeks later. She was forced into retirement for nearly 5 years. We know about all this shit. Saraya noted in 2022 that during a conversation with Triple H, upon her departure, the door was left open, and it was the previous regime's decision to not retain her. While Saraya doesn't officially have a match at All In, she is planned for the show. She's scheduled to compete for the AEW World title on Wednesday as well, and she is going to have that match with Toni Storm this Wednesday. And according to Toni, in her Rampage promo on Saraya's birthday, she said, she alluded to the fact that if Saraya beats her on Wednesday, that Saraya will get a match at All In. So that's going to be really weird. Well, I guess it's not going to be that weird. I can see how they would do it. What I would do is I would have Mariah May show up, help Saraya beat Toni Storm. Then Saraya gets the match at All In, and she faces Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter returns and absolutely destroys Saraya. And then you can just do what you did with Ricochet in WWE, or what you did with Daniel Garcia in AEW. She's been destroyed. Now just keep her off. And that way, if she chooses to leave, you don't have to shoot any angle to get her off TV, because she's already been murdered by Jamie Hayter. Toni Storm can then retain her title over Mariah May, getting revenge for Mariah costing her the match against Saraya on Dynamite. That's kind of where I feel like this would be going, because if Saraya is planned for All In, but she can only get a match at All In if she beats Toni Storm on Wednesday, feels like she's got to beat Toni Storm on Wednesday, right? So feels like they might be telegraphing the shit out of that. We'll see. But Dynamite should be pretty good in Cardiff this Wednesday ahead of All In. So we'll keep our eye on Saraya. I thought it would be cool for her to remain in AEW long enough to do a Saraya and Mercedes match. I feel like you got to do that, with the women. I mean, there's no hard feelings apparently between these two. It was Sasha that did kick Paige in the back in that live event that forced her into early retirement. She's back now. It feels like you got to get that match done. It would be weird to see Saraya go back to WWE, although it wouldn't be that surprising either. I don't know how much Saraya really has to offer in AEW. I feel like they just gave her the title just to give her the feel-good moment at Wembley, and she got that moment in front of her family, in front of her hometown. And many might debate whether or not that was truly earned or not. But I think, with her, injuries and how much time she had to spend away from the ring, that was a nice moment for her to get. But in terms of a future in AEW, she hasn't done a whole lot that's really stuck. The Outcasts thing really launched Toni Storm. But in terms of Saraya, I don't know. So if she decided to come back into the WWE family, that wouldn't surprise me, but I could also see her sticking around. We'll keep our eye on it, but I definitely think she needs to come out at Wembley Stadium and get killed by Jamie Hayter. I really hope Jamie comes back and she's the opponent for Saraya, and that would be a cool contrast in the two All-Ins, winning the championship, in a tearful, emotional moment one year, and then coming back as a heel the next and getting annihilated by a returning babyface would be fun to watch. So we'll see wherever Saraya winds up. If she does wind up bouncing, goes back to WWE, I'm really fine with that. I'm kind of indifferent on her. A lot of talent, when their contract comes up for expiration on one side or the other, as a fan, I usually have an opinion of where I'd like to see them. Oh, I think they should stay in AEW. Oh, I would love to see them go to WWE. In Saraya's case, she can do either one. She can come back and be Paige, fine. She can stay in AEW and be Saraya, fine. Greg doesn't really have much of a dog in the fight, but we wish her well. Apparently her boyfriend or husband is a huge fucking douchebag. We can't stand him, but Saraya, we've always liked here on the channel. So best of luck to Saraya and whatever her future holds, whether it be AEW or WWE. Definitely sounds like it's going to be one of the two. The only thing I can think of, though, is maybe if Saraya, if she still has a deep love and passion to actually compete in the ring, and that is something that she wants to do. I feel like she might be more handcuffed in that regard in WWE. If she goes there, signs a 5-year deal, they discover something sketchy in her neck, and they're a little bit too scared to put her out on TV. Maybe that's a fear AEW doesn't have, as strongly. And, we saw that happen with Danielson too. WWE was like, we don't want you to wrestle until he got properly cleared by the right doctors and whatnot. So we saw Danielson come back. We saw Edge come back to WWE. I'm sure Saraya would be all right, but one small injury, if I'm Saraya and I'm going back to WWE, I would want a clause in the contract that says, if I get injured, I'm gone. You release me. You let me go live my life. Don't hold me hostage by, a contract or whatnot. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Saraya. But tonight we're here to talk about Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Raw was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we got some sad news to open up the show. Tonight was the last show for Pat McAfee for a while. Now, I think we went through this last year as well. He is a very busy man during football season. Does the college game day stuff. I think he does NFL stuff too. So he's going to be busy throughout football season. So tonight was Pat McAfee's final Monday Night Raw for a while, probably until around Royal Rumble time, or maybe even before if we're lucky, but it's going to be 2025 most likely until we see McAfee back regularly again. He might turn up, here or there this fall. You never know, but we love Pat. Pat's been a great addition to the WWE, and the fact that this guy stays so busy, he's got a podcast, he's got 9 jobs, and he still has time to be a regular weekly announcer in WWE and be a part of the show to the degree that he is pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible since he kind of doesn't need to do it. He does it. WWE likes him. The fans like him. He likes them. It's a match made in heaven. Best of luck to Pat McAfee. And can't wait to see him back. And now I'm curious who they're going to bring in to sit in with Michael Cole, because it's Graves and Barrett on Monday. So did we get any word about who it might be sitting in with Cole to do color? I don't know if they're just going to pull maybe a Booker T, or maybe if Barrett, it might be Graves. Graves might be doing double duty until McAfee comes back. Not sure. And I don't know if they announced anything tonight about what they're going to do next week for Raw. So we'll keep our eye on that, and we will be missing Pat for football season. But man, football season's almost here. It's almost fall. It's going to be fall weather. It's going to be pumpkin-flavored shit, Halloween decorations up in your grocery store. It's almost there, y'all. Just a couple more weeks left of this hot August, and then we are into September. But anyway, tonight's Monday Night Raw, like I said, I thought it was a pretty good show. You guys are giving it decent grades in the chat over here from what I can tell. And we're right in the middle, of course, of our build to Bash at Berlin. A lot of big matches on tap. We got Cody defending against Kevin Owens, and we have Randy Orton here on the Raw brand challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. And that's what opened up the show. Randy Orton, he came out first. Of course, last week, Randy Orton caught Gunther with the RKO out of nowhere just a week or two after Gunther said right to Randy's face that he will never hit him with that. And then he did. So Orton comes out. He kind of gushes and brags a little bit about what he did to Gunther last week. And, vows to beat him at the pay-per-view, typical stuff. And that's when Gunther then comes out with the championship, and he says that Randy will never hit an RKO again. And Randy is like, oh, I beg to differ, sir. I'm going to beat your ass at the pay-per-view and take your title, and then you're going to have to fly from Berlin all the way back here, an 8-hour flight, 8 hours stuck in that tube, 35,000 feet in the sky with a size 15 boot up your ass, and it's extra wide. So Randy apparently does not have a narrow foot. He's got an extra wide foot. No need to turn that sumbitch sideways. It's already sideways, and it's going to be inside of the rectum of Gunther as he flies home to the United States after losing his title in Berlin, according to Randy Orton. We'll see if Randy turns out to be right about that. I think he's going to be wrong. Ludwig Kaiser then runs in from behind. Randy sees it, fights both guys off, then gets chop blocked by Kaiser, goes down, and Ludwig and Gunther pummel Randy Orton and stand over him, and Randy Orton and Ludwig Kaiser would be in the main event tonight of Raw later on. So that was our little opening segment there. We're going to get one more next week on the go home. I don't know if they're going to bother with, what do you guys think? Like, the way this has all gone down, it feels like the next logical step in a segment between these two, especially on the go home show, might be a contract signing, unless they leave both guys off and they just video package it next week. But I feel like we could get a contract signing. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. But we've already had 3 now, in-ring promo segments, a couple of them that have led to brawls between these guys. What do you do next week? The same thing again? Or, he's already faced Kaiser, so normally I would say do Ludwig and Randy next week, but they did it this week. So I feel like contract signing is what we're going to get. How much you want to bet? Next week they'll advertise Randy Orton versus Ludwig in a Bash at Berlin contract signing. Bash in Berlin. I keep forgetting if it's Bash at Berlin or Bash in Berlin. It's Bash in Berlin. It's right there on the screen. I need to read that every time I say it. Bash in Berlin. We're going to be in Berlin. That's where we're going to be doing the bashing. I got to get that straight. Opening match of the night. OBS said it's disconnected and it's reconnecting. Okay. We look fine. Let me check over here. Did we pause at all? We're going to be in Berlin. Did we pause? I don't even think we paused. OBS told me it disconnected for 1 second and reconnected. But I think we're all right. Anyway. Okay, we're good. I feel confident to continue our notes here. So anyway, opening match was one hell of a banger. Sheamus just continues to get better with age. He's taken on Pete Dunne, and these guys kicked each other's asses. This was such a good match. And Sheamus, just due to his pale-ass skin, he always looks like he's in a war every time he has a match. But the match with Pete was a lot of fun. Very, very fun fight, and a very, very unique finish. I like what they did. Kind of. Pete Dunne grabs Sheamus's hand, which he's been working on all match. So he's been working the hand, working the hand, working the hand. He pulls Sheamus over to the second turnbuckle and shoves his hand, like fists the turnbuckle pad with Sheamus's hand, and Sheamus kind of gets his injured hand stuck in there. Now, it was a little hard to believe because I really feel like as strong as Sheamus is, he could just pull his arm right out of there. But he sold it. Acted like he couldn't get his arm out of the turnbuckle pad, and then finally, as Pete Dunne, I think he backs up to deliver some move to Sheamus. Sheamus just rips the entire turnbuckle pad right off. Pieces of it go flying. It looked great. He gets right up and boom, blasts Pete Dunne with a brogue kick right to his face, annihilates him, and gets the win. Really good match and really, really fun finish. It was executed well. A little bit tough to believe with Sheamus actually getting his hand stuck in there, but it was unique. It was different, something we haven't seen before, and it was executed, I believe, to perfection. So great job by both guys, Sheamus and Pete Dunne. Killed it tonight, and Sheamus just continues to roll, man. This guy is, he's ageless. Then we cut backstage to the New Day. Oh my God, more of this shit again. We talked a lot about this last week. We talked about the impending Xavier Woods heel turn, which is what it feels like they've been building to here for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. I gave you guys ideas. I pitched Xavier going in kind of a crazy direction, maybe with his character trying something new, color outside the lines a little bit, spread his wings. He's been so, just locked in that New Day bubble for so long. And as much as I love the New Day, and if they stayed together until the end of time, I'd be perfectly happy with that. But given the injury to Big E, New Day's been treading water. And sometimes there's a big part of me that, even though I love Kofi and Xavier together, there's a big part of me that appreciates both of them as professional wrestlers. And I know that they are capable, especially Xavier, of so much more. And Xavier hasn't really gotten a chance to do anything in the company outside of this. Kofi and Big E both had kind of singles runs on their own. Xavier never really did. And, so if they wanted to turn him heel at this point and break up the New Day, sure, it would be sad. Sure, it would sting a little. But, I kind of feel like, well, that's what you should do. I think there's too much talent bottled up in Xavier Woods just for him to do this every week for the next 8 years again. And if Big E is not really in a position health-wise to come back anytime soon, you could argue, I was mentioning this to Lou tonight on Facebook too. You could argue that you could still break off Xavier. He could still go his own way. Maybe just tell Kofi, I want to go off and try to, be successful as a singles wrestler without having him to turn on his brother. Yeah, I get that, but I feel like Xavier would be more interesting if he did turn. And tonight, they've got that big 6-man match. It's going to be Xavier and Kofi and Odyssey Jones taking on Karrion Kross and the AOP. So that match is coming up later. We cut backstage. Kofi is there hanging out with Xavier and Odyssey. And Xavier, again, very low enthusiasm, not really playing up as much as Odyssey and Kofi are. And Kofi sends Odyssey away for a minute. He's like, yo, Xavier, can I talk to you? And finally, Kofi recognizes that Xavier's been acting a little weird. He's like, man, I just can't help but notice, man, your energy just feels a little low. Your enthusiasm, basically just repeating everything I said last week on the podcast. And I was wondering how blind Kofi must be to not be able to recognize that one of his brothers, his friends, his closest, one of the closest people in his life that he's known for the last 10 years is acting weird. How do you not know this? How do you not recognize that your boy ain't right? And so finally, Kofi brings this up, and Xavier's like, no, it's all good, man. But look, I really do wish you would have spoken to me about bringing Odyssey in. It feels like you're just trying to replace Big E. And Kofi's like, no, I'm not trying to replace Big E. I'm not trying to do that. And, Xavier kind of gets back on board and whatnot. So they're ready to go out there for their match later on. But I'm still, kind of skeptical about Xavier's sincerity, but also skeptical if we're actually going to see this heel turn tonight. So they would have their match a little bit later on. We then cut backstage to another portion of backstage to check out American Made. They're hanging out. Ivy Nile is ready for Maxine. It's going to be Ivy and Maxine one-on-one in the next match. And Gable is there psyching her up, and he says that they're all ready for the Wyatt 6. After they deal with the lovely Maxine, they will deal with the not lovely Wyatt 6. And then we go to the ring for Maxine and Ivy Nile. I love Maxine. When it comes just to the blonde lookers, just the blonde, fitness model type of chicks that WWE's brought in, over the years, some of them turned out to be wonderful wrestlers like Trish Stratus, and some of them were just there for eye candy and eye candy only. Maxine is one of my favorites. I just love her enthusiasm. She just cracks me up. There is something about her. We've seen the Stacy Keeblers and the Tori Wilsons. There's been a whole parade of beautiful women that have come through WWE. She has got just some sort of X factor about her that just makes me smile when I see her. She's all kinds of fun. She really seems like she tries, wants to get better, is enthusiastic, goes out there and gives it her all every time. And, even though she's not a Rhea Ripley or a Charlotte or a Becky or a Mercedes or a Toni Storm or, any of these, great women wrestlers that we have out there, she isn't bad, and she's getting better, and she is athletic, and she is entertaining. And I like that about her. I always have. So she's a bit outmatched here. Ivy Nile, little pit bull here, you'd think is going to just absolutely annihilate her. But based on what we saw in the previous segment with Gable kind of teasing the Wyatts, I was like, oh, they might. I thought Ivy would just kill Maxine and tap her out instantly, but I had a feeling we might see some Wyatt 6 stuff, and we did. Maxine came out super aggressive. I liked this about her. She knows she's in there with Ivy Nile, who's tough as hell, and she's not really going to stand a chance against her unless she has a little bit more aggression, in her approach, and she did, and I liked the way she kind of came out swinging like that. Maxine's awesome. A couple minutes of that, though, lights go out. We know what's happening. In comes Nikki Cross from behind. She crawls in the ring. The entire American-made faction is out there, by the way. They get in the ring, Gable and the Creeds. Maxine now just hightails it out of there, I guess, because as soon as the lights went out, I didn't see her again. So Maxine was smart. She got her ass out of there. The Wyatt Six then surround the ring, and they attack. They attack all of American Made. Gable winds up being left alone in there with all of them, and he takes a Sister Abigail from Uncle Howdy, and nobody eats an Abigail quite like Gable. Second time in a row, he's flipped completely over on this thing. He looks so good taking it. That might be why they're feuding them with Chad Gable and his group, is because he can sell the fucking Sister Abigail like no one else can. So they take out the Creeds. They take out Ivy Nile. Nikki Cross jumped on Nile and even backed up Gable after the Creeds and Nile were out of the ring. Gable is trying to escape, and Nikki or Sister Abigail crawls in and backs him up, and that's when all of the Wyatt Six finish off Chad Gable and then pose over him, as he's laying there. Very cool stuff. I liked the way all of that went. I don't know what kind of, pay-per-view match this is going to lead to, unless it's just going to be all of them, unless it's going to be, because I guess you can do 4-on-4 and still have Uncle Howdy not in the match, right? He can be on the outside, and then it'll be Loomis and Gacy and Rowan and Nikki against Gable, the Creeds, and Ivy. Feel like they're going to have to do that at some point with Uncle Howdy at ringside, and then maybe that leads to Gable and Howdy one-on-one at some point. I feel like they're going to have to do something crazy in Saudi Arabia. I think Crown Jewel might be where one of these matches happens, and it could just be Gable and Uncle Howdy in Saudi Arabia. That might be where we get it first. Yeah, we'll have to see. After that, we had a Dominic and Liv little vignette or video package talking about Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley and how they're going to beat them at Bash in Berlin. And then after that, it's time for that. It's time for the New Day and New Testament match. Wait a second. Is that when it was? Yeah. That was next, right? Yeah. New Day and New Testament was after that. So this is going to be the big 6-man deal. And the way they set this up, a lot of fans kind of felt like if you're going to do the heel turn, this might be where you do it. But this match started at 24 minutes past the hour. And I'm like, I know that New Day isn't exactly on the top of the card right now. I know they're not exactly the most important storyline or group or tag team in the company right now, but they are still a very decorated, very storied team in WWE. When and if this Xavier Woods turn actually happens and they actually pull the trigger, they have to dedicate a top of the hour segment to that. And this wasn't happening here. This was at the bottom of the hour, and I felt like the turn probably isn't going to come here. If they book a match next week or the week after Bash at Berlin, and Xavier and Kofi versus another team, and this is happening at the top of the hour, that's when you want to look for the heel turn. But I didn't feel like it was going to happen here. They just did more of the same. There was one tag. I think Kofi went to tag Odyssey instead of tagging Xavier, and Xavier kind of gave him a funny look. But in the end, it was the babyfaces getting the win with Odyssey Jones hitting a huge, twirling sidewalk slam on one of the AOP guys for the win. So no turn yet for Xavier. I still think that's coming, and I'm still interested to see what they can do with him once they finally do this. But I think a lot of fans have their doubts. I think a lot of fans are going to be sad when the turn finally comes, but that's why I think it's important to do it right. That way you don't break the fans' hearts, because there's going to be a lot of fans, including myself. New Day is an all-time tag team for me. So an all-time group, the three of them. And to see that break up in any way, it was heartbreaking enough what happened to Big E, and now if you're going to disband the team, at least for right now, permanently, until maybe one day in the future they can reunite for a final send-off or something. If they are going to do that, I want it to be good and interesting. Otherwise, all you're going to think about is the sadness you feel that the New Day is no longer together, instead of being interested or excited to see what they're going to do in the future. And that's why it's important, I think, to make whatever this turn is going to be something important, because if it turns out to be the final testicle, this faction with no aura or presence to them whatsoever, minus maybe Scarlet, this is going to be the group that's going to end one of the longest storied teams in WWE. Do we see a really long shelf life here for AOP and Cross? Are we going to sit here and be talking about the Final Testament 5 years from now? I'm not sure if we're going to be talking about these guys 5 months from now. So the fact that it's them that's going to be the main source of Xavier's change of heart might be weird. I just hope they do it right. I mean, if you're going to fuck up the New Day and break them up, do it right. We will see. We're going to talk about this every week until it happens, guys. Then after that, it was time. Now it's the top of the hour. Now it's time for a real segment. CM Punk is out. Now, Punk was advertised for the show tonight that he had a message to deliver to Drew McIntyre. It was obvious all day long that message was going to be a challenge to a strap match. He already alluded to that last week, whipping Drew with the belt, then cutting the promo in the backstage area saying, I think I have an idea how to keep us together. Well, duh. So it's going to be a strap match. And this should be the segment where Punk came out and issued that challenge. So Cult of Personality hits, out comes Punk, and he's got the strap with him. So the cat is out of the bag now. It is going to be a strap match. I had that shit sniffed out. When Punk delivered that first whip with Drew's belt, I was like, strap match. Knew it right away. So it's going to be a strap match. He's got it with him. And Punk's promo tonight, there was a couple of line deliveries here that he had that kind of had crickets. I'm not sure if pandering Punk is what we want to be doing. Punk is tremendous on the mic. He's got great presence. I listen when he speaks, but a month ago, prior to SummerSlam, talking about the McIntyre and CM Punk build and where they can go, we've been talking double turn. And a lot of the reason for that is because heel Punk, brazen Punk on the mic, the guy that'll say anything. That's what got him. That's what made him who he is, so to speak. So I was fine with CM Punk being a babyface at first, but I kind of felt like this summer, this might eventually turn into Punk moving into a heel. But here he's coming out talking about how much he loves the fans, how he met one fan with cancer, and how he thanked all of them, and we are the reason that he is there and he's in front of a WWE audience, and just thanked us. And that's very nice of him. But that's not it. Him appreciating the fans ain't what brought him to the dance. This is a guy that smacks fans. Remember that fan back in the day when he's on Raw and he's got his belt and somebody brushes the top of his head and he just turns around and smacks the shit out of some guy? Punk hates the fans. So the fact that he's acting like he loves us, no, you don't. You think we're annoying and you'd rather not deal with us if you didn't have to. We already know that about you. So I feel like, Punk trying to be trying to be Cody. Cody's doing great things. Cody had the kid. They showed a video of him bringing in a kid who survived brain cancer from the front row and gave him his belt and hugged him in the ring and took a photo with him and all this stuff. Punk's trying to do this too. And I feel like he'd be much more effective as a heel. So I'm hoping that maybe that can still be the plan. They're going to do the strap match at Bash in Berlin, and then you know damn well the blow-off is going to be at Bad Blood on October 5th, Hell in a Cell match. It has to be. There's no way you don't blow this off in the cell. You had the match at SummerSlam, and now you got the strap. Now you're going to do Bash in Berlin. Punk's going to win the strap match in Berlin. Blow-off will be Hell in the Cell. And maybe if you want to do a turn there of some kind, that's where you can do it. And that's what I would hope that they would do at this point, because I'm just not sure, how much legs, Punk coming out there and licking the buttholes of the fans really has. I think he's better just kind of being a jerk off, and I hope he eventually finds his way back to that, because that's the Punk that I think we all know and love deep down. So after he thanked the fans, he revealed that he has already spoken to Adam Pearce and that a strap match is on for Bash in Berlin. So basically it's like a challenge. He's challenging Drew to a strap match, but he got the okay from Adam Pearce to do so. So then Drew McIntyre comes out. He comes out to the aisleway, not the ring, and doesn't take him long to accept. He goes, look at me. Look at the size of me. Of course I accept your challenge, which I like, because Punk wants this match so he can be tethered to Drew, but Drew's stronger. Drew can just sling him around and throw him around and twirl him over his head and chuck him like a damn fishing rod, into the 9th row if he wants to. So Drew gladly accepts Punk's challenge, but says that Bash in Berlin is next week. That's not tonight. He wants to give Punk a receipt for what happened last week with the strap, and he wants to fight him here tonight. But before he comes to the ring to kick his ass, he wants Punk to put away the strap. Of all the weapons you could have, like, if you're going to attack somebody and they're holding a weapon, I would much prefer them to have a strap over a chair or a lead pipe or a fucking taser or a kendo stick or something that could really hurt you. Like, it's just a strap. Just grab it from him, yank it out of his fucking hand and wrap it around his neck. Like, if you charge CM Punk, yeah, you might get whipped once, but how bad is that really going to hurt? And, in the midst of a brawl, just one little whip, where if it's a chair, can just straight knock you out. Strap ain't going to knock you out. So I don't know why Drew is scared of the strap. So he's like, you drop that strap and then I'll come in there. And Punk's like, hey, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you the strap. I'm not scared of you. You can have the strap if I can have the bracelet. Offers a trade, strap for bracelet. And then Drew's like, nah, I don't think so. I think AJ and Larry are happy at home with the Drewster. So that was actually pretty funny. And Punk says that what Drew doesn't understand is that, Punk is not being attached to Drew. Drew is attached to him. So Punk's making it sound like you're the one that keeps running away. You're the one that's a bitch. You're not going to be able to do that when you're tied to me. But I don't, from Punk's perspective, I understand that it's his job to be confident, but I don't know what attaching a strap to you and Drew does that makes you suddenly the favorite in this match. So he's going to win, I think. And I think what Punk is going to do, well, that depends. It depends on what the rules here are. You got to help me out here with the strap match. Is this the 4 corners thing? Sometimes there's that, but sometimes it's just a strap match. You just beat the shit out of each other and pin to win the match. There's a cowbell match. Same thing. Eddie lost the title because of that fucking 4-corner crap. So they might do the 4 corners thing, which will give Punk an easy victory over Drew without having to pin him. Otherwise, I think they can come up with a creative idea with the strap where Punk ties Drew down or something like that. Or, maybe chokes him out with it. Drew passes out and the referee has to stop the match because CM Punk is tied Drew's head with the strap to the fucking ring post and he's just whacking him with a chair. I don't know. I think they might just do something like that to where Punk gets Drew restrained somehow. If he gets Drew all tied up, like hog tied to the fucking ring post, and then just gets a chair. This is kind of like I Quit match stuff, but if he gets a chair and just starts walloping him, the referee just might have to stop the match to save the life of McIntyre. So I feel like with the strap, they can get creative finish-wise with these guys, and Punk can get a win that will, much like the SummerSlam match with Rollins being involved, they can come up with a finish here that'll protect whichever guy they're going to beat. And then the real win comes in Hell in the Cell. So both guys, lost a match, but were protected in the SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin matches. Then you go to October 5th, Hell in the Cell, you do the blow off there. And if you're going to do a double turn or a CM Punk heel turn, that's where I would do it. Because if you're not, then I think McIntyre just needs to win that straight up. Clean as a whistle. But Punk could, here's the thing. If they did turn Punk heel at Bad Blood in the Hell in the Cell, how would you? How would you turn heel in a match you can already do whatever you want? You're already cheating. You're already using foreign objects. You're already using chairs. it's not like Punk can do something in the match that would be heelish, because the whole fucking match is heelish. You're trying to kill each other. So if he were to turn heel or do a double turn in the cell, it wouldn't be by one action. It would be, maybe similar to what Brett and Austin did at WrestleMania 13, where you tell the fans a story throughout the course of the match that changes their mind. And it might be more of not one thing, but Punk's, demeanor or actions throughout the match, to where he's being extra vicious, extra cruel, to where the fans are like, damn, that is fucking hardcore. And they might change their minds that way. Maybe Drew's wife is in the crowd and he makes some comment towards her. I don't know, but Drew's the one with the family stuff. He's the one bringing up Punk's family. He's the one in full-blown heel mode right now. He's got the bracelet. He's got the personal belongings of Punk. I feel like they got a long way to go to actually make this full turn, since Drew is the one making this thing so personal with the bracelet and the dog and the wife and whatnot. So they got some work to do if they want to make Punk heel, but if the plan is for him to remain babyface, then I believe Punk needs to go down clean to Drew McIntyre in Hell in the Cell. I don't know any other way to do it, to be honest. I just can't see Punk beating him clean in that scenario if he's a babyface through this. But, if he turns heel and turns evil throughout the course of the match, then I feel like that would be an easier way to justify a Punk clean victory in the Cell over Drew. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if you agree in the chat. Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Isaac and Brian. Said that it is the Four Corners. Okay. Well, that's going to make it real easy. Now that's a guarantee that CM Punk is going to win that match, because Drew can lose this without, who fucking cares? Like, if I was a wrestler, I wouldn't even give a shit if I lost a strap match. So you touched four corners? You didn't beat me. All you did was touch corners. It's so stupid. It's like the escape the cage thing. I'm not a fan of the Four Corners. There's been some famous ones, though. Eddie, of course, lost the title that way, right? Wasn't that a strap match or cowbell match or some shit to JBL? And that's how JBL won the title. Also, the $1 Million Man left WWE because of a strap match. It was Austin and Savio at the Beware a Dog, the second one, I think. And if Savio won, $1 Million Man would have to leave the WWE, and he did. And I remember they did one of those finishes. It's common in strap matches. There's been a few that have done this. But like one guy, the heel's dragging the babyface and he's touching the corner. But after he touches each corner, the babyface is coming behind him and touching the corner too. So I think Austin touches all three. Savio yanks him away from the fourth and then touches the fourth corner, winning the match, sending Ted DiBiase to WCW. And I think JBL might have had a similar type of victory, although I don't remember. I never really went back and watched that Great American Bash match. I've never watched Eddie lose the title. I watched it live that night on pay-per-view. Hated it so much, I've never watched it back, ever. Maybe we can watch Great American Bash 2004 one day here on the channel in a watch-along. We will see. But thank you for that info on the Four Corners. That's interesting. Mike Witt's got 5 for us. He says, you heard it here first. I'm thinking eventually the Wyatts target Judgment Day. Didn't Dom turn on his father and mommy? Just an observation. Yeah, and the Wyatt Six, it's kind of hard to envision them as like a babyface group, but they are. They are. I mean, they don't seem like they are, but they're working with heels. So if they're working with the American Made right now, they can move over to Judgment Day next. And the Wyatt Six and Judgment Day could be some crazy shit for, I mean, hell, maybe even fucking Survivor Series, but something at WrestleMania next year might be really fun if they did some wacky match. Maybe they do a match in the Sphere. Wyatt Family Judgment Day. The Sphere Brawl. I don't know. Oh, Kyle Day. Good question there. I'll bring that up in a minute. I didn't read all of it. See, that's the thing. It's going to be hard for me to comment on this. The Mark Henry, Vince McMahon stuff. I know that Mark Henry said a couple of stupid things. I saw a couple of quotes and, where he kind of questioned, the accusers and whatnot, just saying really ignorant stuff. But you're going to hear wrestlers occasionally come out and say some surprising things about Vince in terms of, it's going to, because a lot of them who worked with him for years or whatever might still have some sort of love for the guy. R-Truth recently said something that I did not appreciate either about Vince McMahon. So you're going to have some wrestlers here and there, when asked about him, are going to say something that is going to be hard for a fan to believe. Like, are you fucking serious? But that's kind of the reality of it. Vince is still going to have people loyal to him despite how horrible of a human being he turned out to be. And Mark Henry, nobody, Mark Henry has kind of said some dumb things before, but Mark Henry's also a smart guy, so this is just loyalty blinding you. And, people who are probably upset that Vince is gone and upset that this happened to Vince and are looking to blame others other than Vince for that. And that's a lot of the issue there. When John Cena had those idiotic comments, Vince McMahon's got some hills to climb right now. He's got some more hills to climb, dude. It's a lot worse than him just going through some small difficulties in life. No, he's up shit's creek. And he fucking knows it. And these revelations are horrible. And they don't do any favors to our fucking business. So I don't understand why Vince can't hurt any of these people. I don't understand why people don't come out and condemn him and be like, fuck that guy. But occasionally you're going to hear wrestlers say stupid shit as it relates to Vince McMahon. After the Punk and Drew stuff, we have pretty fun match here between The Miz and Bronson Reed. Of course, Miz faced him last week and got killed, and then Reed annihilated R-Truth and put him out of action with broken ribs and whatnot from, I think, 3 or 5 tsunamis, however many it was. So Miz now is facing Reed in a no disqualification match, I believe. And he's doing it because he feels like he has to do it. There's a pre-match guerrilla convo with The Miz and Adam Pearce prior to him going out to the match. And Pearce is like, dude, Bronson's been murdering people lately. Like, you don't have to do this. It's all good. If you tell me you don't want to go out there, you don't have to do it. And then The Miz is like, I'm not really sure. I don't know if I want to do it. I think I could get killed. But the thing is, I have to do it because I don't have many friends, and R-Truth is my friend, and this guy hurt my friend. It's not that I want to go out and do this. I feel like I just have to. So The Miz, standing up for his boy, standing up for his homie. Gotta like that about Miz. And it wasn't a total annihilation. He went out there and had a little bit of offense against Bronson Reed. At the end of the day, you knew what was going to happen here, but Miz didn't just get squashed in 5 seconds. He took the fight to him, had Bronson Reed down a couple of times, but ultimately it was going to be the tsunami for the win. Unsurprising there. And after the match, I was expecting Reed to do what he's done the last 2 weeks, go up and hit a few more of these bitches on The Miz. And he immediately goes up for the second tsunami when Braun Strowman's music hits. He comes out and the two go face to face. Now, this was kind of spoiled earlier on in the day when WrestleVotes, they've been doing this lately on Mondays. They just kind of give you a 1-paragraph description of what you're going to see. And one of the things they said was that Bronson was going to get a very, very big opposition. Strowman. It's got to be Strowman. So I wasn't surprised to see him come out. And I like this because Reed, if they are on the way, or if they're on the in the process of building him right now, and he's putting down some big names, he's annihilating Seth Rollins and whatnot, he's got to beat Strowman. This is great. Strowman can be used to put dudes over now. He had a hell of a little run there with Roman back in 2017, but those days are gone. Strowman can be used in other ways now. And I think when this match happens, whenever it is, probably on Raw, does not feel like a Bash in Berlin type of match. I feel like we're going to get Strowman and Reed, and Reed will put him down. I hope he does. Just keep Reed rolling. Bronson Reed is he's one of my favorites to watch right now. Just destroying everybody is fun. And even though this has been done before with like ass-kicking monster heels, I'm just going to destroy people till I get competition. We've seen that a bunch of times. This is one of the better ones. He's doing it. And that tsunami is a move. Bronson Reed is a very interestingly shaped man. Like, he's big, obviously, but he's fucking thick, man. He's King Kong Bundy LJN figure thick. So's Otis, but Reed is, he's got that upper body on him. He's also just stupidly strong. And I like his entire package. You know what I mean? His entire aura, his entire presentation might be better than package, although I'm sure Reed has a phenomenal package. We cut backstage to Sheamus, he's back there with just the stupidly hot Jackie Redmond. It's not fair. He's backstage talking to her, and Ludwig Kaiser shows up to talk more shit to him. And, of course, he's going to be in the main event, and he bragged about, I'm being in the main event of Raw tonight. Yeah. Get out of here with your stupid haircut. I liked him more. What was Kaiser and Vinci's name in NXT? Or NXT UK, when they were in Imperium, that was an NXT UK deal, right? And is Marcel Bartel or something like that. And who was Vinci? Vinci was I forget their names now. Marcel something. I liked him better when they were those guys, but this Ludwig, he's something else. But he's been getting some high praise backstage. Undertaker even recently said a few nice things about him. I just can't stand his haircut and the fact that he wrestles 98% naked. But he's sounds like he is well liked backstage, and WWE might have big plans for him in the future, especially, the longer his alliance goes with Gunther. You do a breakup with those guys at some point, and then Gunther defends his title against Ludwig Kaiser, and Ludwig Kaiser gives him the fight of his life and damn near beats him. That could make it be a star-making performance to launch, Kaiser to that next level. So they might be going there in the future. And then we cut to another area of the backstage where Braun Breaker is being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. So first Jackie, now Kathy. It's getting tough to watch this show. Braun says he's kind of mad because he learned that Adam Pearce has set up this tournament, this number one contenders tournament for the Intercontinental title. And Breaker is like, hey, it's not my fault that I'm a badass. It's not my fault that I can just kill everybody. And Pearce is trying to slow down my momentum. So it sounds like he's actually upset that he's not on the show tonight defending his title. He wants to be out there and just face everybody. But he knows that if he does that, he'll just beat the whole damn locker room within a matter of weeks, and Adam Pearce is trying to slow him down a bit, so he expressed anger over that. And then it is time for an advertised match that we knew we weren't going to get. It's way too early to do Priest and Dominic one-on-one. I didn't think this was going to go very far. Priest even alluded to the fact earlier that he knows he's going to get ambushed by Judgment Day, so Dom is out there first. Out comes Damian Priest, and of course, the Judgment Day attacks. Priest sees him coming, takes all of them out, and wipes all of the Judgment Day members out in the ringside area or on the floor, staring at Dominic, who's in the ring, who now realizes he's got to face Priest one-on-one, but then from behind Dominic comes Rhea Ripley, and she starts beating the shit out of Dominic. I think she headbutts him. She throws him to the outside. She's going for the riptide on the floor, and that's when Liv Morgan comes in with the steel chair. Judgment Day then swarms Ripley and Damian Priest, and they force Damian Priest to watch Liv Morgan beat down Rhea Ripley. Then they throw Priest in the ring, allow Dominic to hit him with the frog splash, and Judgment Day stands over the bodies of Priest and Ripley. Priest is kind of like sitting up and he's holding Ripley in his arms. Pretty cool visual. And Judgment Day totally annihilated Priest and Mommy, and that's the way it should have gone. When I saw Priest and Dominic, advertise, I'm like, that match isn't going to happen. That match isn't going to happen. There's no fucking way. So I was happy to see all that. That's the second week in a row that I've really enjoyed just the brawling and what Judgment Day has done with Priest and with Rhea Ripley. And I'm looking forward to that mixed tag. I think that could be a show stealer in Berlin because that crowd's going to be hot as all hell. And Dominic already has that heat. And I just feel like when, he's in there and he's mixing it up, same with Liv, I think that crowd is going to be very invested in this one. This should be the match they could be the most vocal for in Berlin. But I don't know anything about the German audience. I would just like to think that they might be going apeshit for that one. Then after that, it was time for the Women's Tag Team Championships. They are on the line tonight as Mel Batost and Isla Dawn defend against Kairi Sane and Io Sky Damage Control, and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, who are now known as, with Sonya Deville, as the Pure Fusion Collective. No, they really named themselves that. I can't tell if they're a wrestling faction or if they're a smoothie bar in a hippie neighborhood. Pure Fusion Collective. Okay. That's their name. It's horrible. And I didn't want the Pure Fusion Collective, so I guess that would be the PFC. The PFC to win the tag team titles here. I can't say enough good things about Io and Kairi Sane, their look. They're wearing the leather. God damn, they're hot. I love their team. I almost wish that the Damage Control faction was gone. Like if, I don't know what Asuka's going to do when she comes back, or, and Dakota Kai is hurt right now. But Sane and Io, just as a team, wearing the black like that, I like this version of Kairi Sane so much better than when she was here previously doing the pirate thing and all of that. She still does that, but she's got like a little darker vibe to her, plus their heels, and she's a little bit more animated. I like a lot of the, the shot vignettes that they've done with Damage Control that really helps with the language barrier stuff. And I just like their look and I like their vibe. Couple of botches here in this match, though. One of them was pretty funny when Io went to, I guess, springboard Kairi over the top rope, and I think she was supposed to land with her feet on the top rope and springboard off to the floor, but she kind of lost her footing when Io gave her the boost, and she landed on her stomach on the top rope, but then flipped over into like a senton and wound up landing the move perfectly. And if you go back and watch the replay, it's like when halfway through her completing it, when she lands it, it's like she realizes mid-move that she saved the spot, and she like lifts her hands up and goes like, yay. It's the funniest, cutest little spot. It's almost like, oh my, I saved myself. That actually didn't look that bad. I don't think that was intended. That looked to be a botch, but I suppose maybe that was the way the move was supposed to go. I just don't think that it was. It was pretty funny. The finish was also kind of interesting. It was Shayna's got the Karafuda clutch on Kairi Sane. Then Isla Dawn comes in and hits a backstabber onto Shayna Baszler, but then holds her down. So it's like Shayna's got the clutch, then she gets backstabbed. Isla holds her down while Alba comes off the top with a swanton to Shayna and then pins her for the win. So pretty unique finish there. And I'm happy that the tag team champs retained the title. Did not want to see them drop it here in this match. I got no problem with Kairi and Io Sky being tag team champions again, but not in this particular match. I wasn't feeling it. Plus, I feel like Alba Dawn and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, those names are so bad. Kaylee Ray, what was wrong with that? What was wrong with that? I don't know what Isla Dawn's name was prior to this, but I'm sure it was better than Isla Dawn. So I feel like they might be going to Bash in Berlin to drop the belts to Jade and Bianca. Jade kind of let it slip on a podcast interview this week that her and Bianca were going to be winning the titles back at the PLE. And the next PLE is Bash in Berlin, so they could tack that match on there maybe on Friday on SmackDown, or the Bianca and Jade championship win comes later. Don't really know, but I'm actually surprised they're still keeping Jade and Bianca together, and they might be giving them another run. And you got to think the only reason I would think to give Jade and Bianca another run is to use that run as a vehicle to split them up. They drop the titles, then you start the bad feelings thing, and you can have one of them turn heel on the other. And sounds like the person to go heel will probably be Jade. Bianca apparently doesn't want to go heel. She wants to be a role model to kids and whatnot. I think that's all fine and nice and dandy, but Bianca is super crazy, awesome, talented, and I think you put a killer instinct on that girl, no one can stop her. Look at what it did for Rhea Ripley. And I feel like I've always wanted to see a Ripley and Bianca Belair WrestleMania main event. And even though I feel like Ripley is there, Bianca's lost a step or two since she's kind of been treading water here. And I really want to see, I like Bianca as a performer more than Jade Cargill. So I want Bianca to get the spotlight over Jade, and I think if she turned heel, that might be fun. But if Jade turned heel, then it would be Bianca beating Jade, and that actually would be what I would prefer as well. So if they are going to win the titles back, then when they lose them, you got to tie in a split there somehow. Otherwise, I don't see what the point is. And that leaves us with our main event, Randy Orton taking on Ludwig Kaiser. So Orton is a little tune-up here for his match at Bash in Berlin. First match on Raw in 10 months, they said, for Randy Orton. So it has been a while. Before we get to that, by the way, Jey Uso. Jey Uso had a backstage interview with Jackie. And Jackie alluded to him reuniting with Sami Zayn as a tag team and targeting the pizzas. And I think Sami and Jey winning the pizzas is definitely something that could happen in the future. But Sami isn't on the show tonight. He's at home nursing his ass kicking in the Intercontinental title match last week. That one bump he took when Braun threw him over the barricade into the chair. Oh, my God. So Sami's not even on the show, but Uso also mentioned his desire to be a singles champion and how he wants to redirect his focus to that. And he went and talked to Adam Pearce, and he got himself put in the Intercontinental Championship tournament, and he's vowing to not only win the tournament, but win the title. We'll see about that, but that's what Jey wants to do. And we'll see when Sami comes back, how that's going to tie in. If they're going to have, if Sami's going to be like, hey, let's team up and go after the tag titles. And Jay's like, yeah, man, that's awesome. But I also want to go after the Intercontinental title. And then Sami can be like, what, my title? Or maybe that causes dissension. I hope that it doesn't, because I really want Jey and Sami and Jimmy to all be a part of that big War Games match with the Bloodline in November. So hopefully this doesn't cause problems with the conflicting interests or whatever between these two homies. But Jey, it sounds like, could potentially be targeting not only the tags, but the Intercontinental Championship as well. And that leaves us with our main event. Cheers. Fresh little LaCroix tonight. No brewskis. Just water. All right. So it's Orton and Ludwig. Gunther out there at ringside for this thing. Pretty good match. I thought Kaiser had a good showing. He did. This was really solid. I'll give him credit. And, the ending was just going to result in some sort of Orton and Gunther brawl is all I'm waiting to get to, and I feel like Ludwig might even escape not losing. I wasn't even sure if Orton would get the straight up win here or not, since Gunther was kind of lurking in the shadows there. But Orton eventually, near the end of the match, gets Ludwig on the outside, and he picks him up, and he does the Bollywood boy drop, only less gnarly, twice to Ludwig Kaiser on the table. And Gunther is out there watching all this, and Orton's taunting him. Orton and Kaiser get back in the ring. Another minute and a half exchange there. Finally, boom, RKO out of nowhere for the win. Randy Orton gets the win, and as predicted and as expected, I'm looking at the clock. It's the exact top of the hour. This thing's going to end with a brawl. But since we already got the beatdown segment in the beginning with the, and we got the same thing with the Judgment Day later on with them standing over the people they beat up, I even knew that this was going to be a fade to black moment in the middle of a brawl. That's what I was hoping we would see. Gunther then attacks Randy Orton. They start brawling, and you can tell as they're brawling, it's going to be one of those shows that just ends that way with Randy Orton and Gunther throwing right hands at each other, and that's how the show went off the air. And like I said earlier, that leaves us with one more week now, next week on Raw to go home. That's where I'm going to expect the contract signing. I feel like they got to do a contract signing next week. Otherwise, I don't know what kind of segment you can do. Orton's already had a match, so he's probably not going to wrestle next week unless you put Gunther in the ring with somebody in a non-title, and then Orton attacks him, and you do the same thing again. But I feel like it's going to have to be contract signing next week. So I guess that's what we're going to get. We'll have to see if I'm right about that. And that concludes tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Solid episode. I'm just happy to be sitting here knowing that I can tune into Raw on Mondays and not feel like I'm torturing myself. It's a good feeling. It is a good feeling. Anyway, let's see what you guys have to say in the chat, and then I'm going to bust out of here because I've got more Shameless to watch. I'm on season 8 now, and I got to cook some dinner and all that good stuff. So I'm into my Monday routine here. Sorry for the TMI there, Juliet. Oh, it was a cowbell match. That's what it was with Eddie. Yeah, Max, I think the strap match makes it obscenely obvious that Punk is winning. 100%. He's winning this one. I think Drew will probably win the blow-off, though. Oh, yeah, Rock Triple H at Fully Loaded. That was a strap match, I think, as well. That's right. Eddie tackled him to touch the fourth corner, but JBL's back touched the fourth corner first. So that's how he won. Okay. Jacob, do you think we'll get a Seth and Roman program in a program before Mania? Probably not before Mania unless they booked him like in a match at the Royal Rumble, but I think both guys are going to be in the Royal Rumble. Roman wouldn't be in a match at the Royal Rumble unless it was a title match. So I think putting Roman in the Rumble and maybe like having The Rock eliminate him last or something might be something fun to do. But Seth and Roman definitely need to revisit their issue, but now Roman's going to be a babyface. Rollins might have to be the one to go heel there in that scenario. I'm not sure, but there's a lot I think Rollins needs to do. I think Rollins, before he retires and calls it a career, and hopefully this chronic pain that he's going through isn't going to be too much of a career shortener for him. I really hope that this isn't something that, he feels, might force him into an early retirement or whatnot. But if he can get back and still have a few more years left in him to work, I want to see him get a clean win over Roman Reigns and a clean win over Cody Rhodes. I think he deserves both of those. So at some point, I would like to see Seth get those victories. And for a while there, I wanted to see Rollins be the one to take the belt off of Cody Rhodes. I don't think it's going to be that way, but that's kind of the direction I was hoping they would go. But I just think there's too much going on there with Cody and Roman and Rock and all that stuff. It's going to be more of that. And hopefully Seth can be in on that. He was Fabian Eichner. That's right. Fabian Eichner. Now I remember Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner. Oh, yeah. See, why can't they be those guys again? Why'd they change their names? Why'd they change Kaylee Ray's name? Melba Toast. Get the fuck out of here. Jesse Ventura to replace Pat and join Cole. All right. All right. Up, Tito's in the house. Hey, buddy. Hey, you can't. My boom mic arm is in the way of your face, buddy. There you go. There he is. Shh. Sorry, buddy. You can't be seen. I like to have my mic right over the A on the Raw. I'm all about being centered, It's all about being centered. All right, guys. Well, anyway, I'm going to be getting out of here in a minute. Let me know what's going. Let me let you know what is going to be happening this week. So I kind of made a mistake on the last two episodes. Last night we watched Road Wild 1997. By the way, it was a blast. And I mentioned it last night and on Saturday's podcast that we've got All In coming up. So it's going to be a big weekend. So what your guys are going to get from me on Thursday, we're going to do predictions. And my plan right now is just to record that. I'm going to record some predictions on Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning and have them up by Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening for you. So you'll get my AEW All In 2024 predictions in a recorded video dropping Thursday. So I want to watch the Cardiff Dynamite first, get the final card kind of solidified, find out who that fourth team in the four-way trios title match is going to be. It could be Lashley and MVP and Shelton Benjamin. It actually could be. So I want to see if that happens. And I want to see how Dynamite goes. And then we'll come up here on Thursday and predict the entire AEW All In card. We will be here this Saturday as usual for the podcast. And then my plan on Sunday, that's All In Day, pay-per-view day. Great. We're going to do a watch along, big watch party here on Sunday for AEW All In. And then it fucking hits me last night when I'm making my thumbnail for all this stuff. I don't have the links up yet, but I'm making thumbnails for everything that I need. I was like, what did I do last year for the show? I went into last year's project folder to pull out some logos and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I just did a review. Why didn't I do a watch party last year? Why did I just do a review? And I'm like, oh, because the fucking thing airs at 10 o'clock in the morning for me here in California. I forgot about that. So no watch party for All In on Sunday. I will not be functional enough to be on camera that early when I work nights, and I'm gonna get my ass kicked the night before on Saturday night at my job, staying up till 4 a.m, then trying to get up and be on camera just a few hours later. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So this Sunday, we're going to do a review, very long, detailed review of AEW All In, and I will probably schedule that review for about an hour after the show goes off the air. That way I can catch up on anything I might have missed in the first match or two, get some notes made and come up. So we will be here this Sunday for a full AEW All-In review. So no classic watch along this week. We'll pick that up the week after when we get into September. And I think I already have a show earmarked for that night. I think it's going to be In Your House Ground Zero. Big night. Big night. If you're a Patriot fan, this is the show for you. All right. I think that's going to be it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here now. I want to thank you for being here, as always, with me on this lovely Monday evening. Thank you for being here with me 3 straight days. Everybody that was here with me on the podcast on Saturday, thank you for that. Thank you for those who joined us last night for the watch along. And thank you, as always, for being here tonight. You will next see me again on Thursday for AEW All-In predictions. We'll probably also get into a few of the results of Dynamite, because I think some big things are going to happen on Wednesday in Cardiff. And then we'll be back this weekend, podcast, All-In review, all that jazz is happening. It's going to be a big one. So you guys have a great rest of your night. Take care, and I'll talk to you just a couple of days. Peace.